Hello Channel NITT viewers, welcome to Channel NITT. I am DS and we are Channel NITT, a psychology channel based in Singapore. Today, we are going to do an introductory episode on Chi-Square. So in previous episodes, I've been talking about things like this person is more likely to be a P, or people who do this are more likely to be a J type. In order for you to understand why psychologists make this kind of statement, then you first have to understand what Chi-Square is. So this word, C-H-I, is pronounced as Chi, not Chi or Chai, as in like China. So to help you to remember that C-H-I in this case is pronounced as Chi, I have coined a word, C-H-I-M-A. It's read as Kaima, Kaima, Kaima. So in Asian Chinese countries, the Kaima is a godmother. So we may have some viewers who may not be from the Asian culture. So the Kaima refers to the godmother. She is a person who is usually about 20 to 30 years older than you. When you were young and she is your Kaima, what she will do is she will squeeze your cheeks and she'll say, "So cute." When you get older, she will move down and squeeze your chest and say, "So handsome." But if there's a woman who goes lower and squeeze other parts of the body, that's not a Kaima, that's a sugar mommy. So back to the discussion on Chi-Square. Before we can talk about Chi-Square, you need to know another terminology, and that's called prevalence. Prevalence. When we talk about prevalence, we are actually talking about how common something is. So to give you a very simple example, males and females. So we can assume that in Singapore and in most other countries, the prevalence of males is likely to be 50%. This means that for every one male, there will be one female. So we can talk about the prevalence of any ethnicity, any religion, or any personality type. To better help our viewers understand what Chi-Square is, so I am going to give you a further example. So back to our previous discussion, if the prevalence of males to females is 1:1, and we go to a school and randomly select 100 students from the school, then we should be expecting to see 50 males and 50 females, because 50% of the population is male. However, this may not be the case. We might get into a class of 100 students and find that there are 56 males and 44 females instead. Here it's obvious there are 12 more males than females. But is this difference significant? So it's as good as saying you get a coin and you toss it 100 times to see whether you get heads or tails. Technically, you are expecting 50 heads and 50 tails. But if you get 56 heads and 44 tails, does it show that the coin is biased? Is it possible that the coin is fair? It is possible. So here, it is still possible that there are 12 more males than females, but this is a normal. But there is nothing wrong. It is still considered normal, because this distribution is still possible due to chance. The only way where we can know whether this is normal or not normal is to push the data of 56 and 44 into a Chi-Square goodness of fit test. So I shall not discuss the technicalities behind the statistical procedure of a Chi-Square goodness of fit test, but viewers do understand that there is such a procedure for us to know whether this distribution of 56 versus 44 is significant. Is it really that different? And if we crash into a class of 100 students and find that there are 80 males and 20 females, now, there are 60 more males than females this time. It is less likely due to chance. So if you toss a coin 100 times and you find that you get 80 heads and 20 tails, likelihood is the coin might be biased, or it might not be a fair coin. So in this case, we have 80 males and 20 females, and if we push this data of 80-20 into a Chi-Square goodness of fit test, you are likely to get the result of there are significantly more males than females in this class. It could be an engineering class. It's quite common for an engineering class to have more males than females. So a lot of statements that we make, like there are more males than females in an engineering class, or there are more females than males in an art class, you can always test whether this statement is true using a Chi-Square goodness of fit test what you have to do is, you know that the prevalence of males to females is 1:1. You get a random sample of maybe 100 students, then you see how different this distribution is from 50-50. So according to prevalence charts and a lot of MBTI websites, the prevalence of the P-type is between 45% to 55%. So this means that the J-type, which is the counterpart, would be between 45 and 55 as well. So for convenience sake, we can say that the P and the J-type are equally prevalent. So the ratio is 1:1. We can, for our future discussions, assume that the P and the J-type are each 50%. So in my previous episode, I mentioned things like if you find a person who is a smoker, then this person is more likely to be a P-type. So how can anyone test whether what I'm saying is true? It's very easy. Just get about 100, 200 people. If what I am saying is false, then you are roughly going to get 100 people from each group, the J group and the P group, they are smokers. However, if you randomly go out and then you find 200 through sampling, 200 smokers through sampling, then what you're going to get is, you're going to get things like 160 P people and 40 J people. Then you can say that the P type is overrepresented in smoke. So the P type is overrepresented amongst smokers. In other words, we can also say that the P type are more likely to smoke than the J type. So a lot of statements that I am saying can easily be tested using the Chi-Square goodness of fit test. So during the initial phase of the lockdown period, there are a lot of people who are repeat offenders. There are a lot of people who are repeat offenders in the sense that they don't wear masks, and the second time they still don't, or they refuse to cooperate with our officers. So I would also say that if you have 100 of such people, most likely is they are overrepresented by the P-type. Similarly, if you have 100 drug addicts now in prison and you profile them, they are more likely to be P-types. But does it mean that all P-types are going to be like this? No. And does it mean that J-type don't take drugs? Not either. It's just that the P-type will be overrepresented. So I hope this episode is able to help you to understand the concept of statistics in the field of psychology in Season 3, and from Season 3 onwards, we are doing more taboo type of topics. I'm not just talking about politics, sex, crime. I'm also talking about the mention of people in subgroups such as the offenders, people who go to ITE. Now, these are topics that are usually avoided. People don't want to talk about this. But within limits, in order for us to make a better society, we have to be more educated about such things. And so, you will get this kind of education over here. And if you like this kind of content and you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can add value to you. And we will see you again in our next episode. Goodbye.